Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Vladimir, and I'm coming from Unicef. And I'd like to share some of the things that we as Unicef are doing in blockchain domain, and especially with NFTs in order to advance children's agenda. So I will be trying to speak rather quickly because I was late for this presentation to start. So let me just start with trying to give you a context. You have UNICEF on one side and you have blockchain on the other. Those two things are usually not the first thing that falls on your mind when you say blockchain, like UNICEF using blockchain. But actually, we at UNICEF have an Office of Innovation, which is experimenting for quite a long time, like 4 or 5 years, with blockchain technologies, and we are having an investment fund, like UNICEF's Innovation Fund, which gives money to teams all around the world who are developing innovative solutions using the newest technologies, including blockchain. So due to that, we are also the first UN entity which created the crypto fund. So we are basically running a crypto investment fund with partners, like we received Bitcoin and Ethereum from the Animoca brands, the Ethereum foundations, and other partners, which we are investing in teams who are developing blockchain products. And all of this is happening transparently. You can see like the stats, you can see the transactions with which crypto was sent to those teams. So that's something that is happening at UNICEF, and one of these internal projects was a project which aimed to map schools in countries in order to see how they can be connected to the internet. This initiative was called GIGA, and a year ago or a bit more, it was officially created as a joint cooperation between UNICEF and International Telecommunication Union, with the goal of actually providing connectivity to every school in the world. So why is this important? Why do we want to have internet in all schools? Well, because on conferences like this, in communities which are dealing with blockchain, we are usually taking technology for granted. We say, blockchain is going to improve our lives. It's going to enable us to do new things. The same goes for machine learning, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and so on. But there are children in the world who actually don't have access to these technologies because they are living in countries which are underdeveloped, they're living in poor communities, and enabling internet connectivity to them is one of the very, very important goals. It's reducing digital divide, which is very prominent and obvious, and it's a way to actually educate and enable quality education for new generations of children. So we started all of this with the approach to map schools. And this approach is required because in order to connect schools to internet, you actually need to know where those schools are. And I'm not saying you should know where the schools are in terms of, you have a physical address, some street number, and so on, but you need to know geolocation. Because if you want to connect schools in rural areas to internet, you need to know if the geolocation of the school really is in the intersection of area of coverage of 3G or 4G services. Are there roads with telco infrastructure going nearby, in order to really find the cheapest way to get these schools online. So we mapped more than 1 million of schools worldwide, and we also connected more than 1 million students since the launch of the GIGA. And this is how it looks like. Green schools in Sierra Leone, the greener the dot is, every dot is a school, and the greener the dot is, the school has a better internet connectivity. The red dots obviously don't have any type of internet connectivity. And GIGA is this mapping process is only the first thing that we are doing. Basically, in order to connect the school and to secure funding for connectivity, you first need to know where the school is. After we know that, we are working with governments, with private sector, with donors, to find new financing models to enable payments for getting internet to schools and paying for monthly costs. Also, after all of that is set up, you basically go and contract a telco provider to get that school connected. And this is the underlying story behind why connecting schools to the internet is important and why it is hard. On the other hand, Giga team has an incredible amount of blockchain geeks working for them, and we are very eager to use blockchain to advance this agenda of connecting schools to the internet. So we are really exploring what we can do with blockchain in order to connect schools to the internet and make that process also sustainable. So one of the things that we are doing, we are taking Ethereum and staking it and using the profits from staking to pay for the monthly cost of internet connectivity. So we have set up a beacon node, and we are now in a process of setting up a validator node. We got 32 ETH, which is required for this from Ethereum Foundation, and it's an interesting experiment that we are very eager to see how it will go. Then we are developing a platform, which we call Connectivity Credits, which is a series of smart contracts which enable governments to mint tokens which they will give to schools based on different parameters, which will enable them to pay for internet connectivity directly to telco operators, which will then take those credits and redeem them for tax exemptions or just for money with the governments. So this platform is currently in the development, and again, it's a rather new way to approach the issue of financing internet connectivity. And the last thing, but the most obvious, the 2021 was the year of NFT hype, and we so jumped in on that bandwagon. And I won't speak much about schools because I already missed a lot of time. But let's just say that this staking project that we are piloting, we are now having discussions with the government of Rwanda to make these nodes that we have set up connect to the beacon node, as working with governments is always a bit tough. In a way, they are eager to have a problem of internet connectivity somehow solved, but the blockchain, crypto regulations and all of that, it's quite hard to get approvals and to strong commitment from the government to pursue this kind of approach. But let's now see the NFTs, because when we decided to have an NFT collection, we thought about, what do we have? What would be interesting to pack in a form of an NFT collection? And we realized that we have a lot of data about schools. So we created an NFT collection which aimed to create a community of people who really care about the topic of enabling every school to be connected to the internet. So that was the first goal. Let's try to identify and organize a community of people who care about this topic. And we had an extreme luck to find an artist, Nadi Bremer, who did she did a wonderful job of taking this data and packing it in a beautiful art pieces. So we have 1,000 of these NFTs, which represent every square is one school. And there are two parts of the NFT. There's the upper world, which has the schools which are connected to the internet, and there's the lower world, or the shadow world, with schools who do not have internet connectivity. And there's a bunch of additional details on these NFTs, like the patterns which are there. If they are more complex, the school has a better internet connectivity. If the patterns are more complex in the shadow world, then this school can be connected to the internet because it has access to 3G or 4G network, but it has not happened yet. So also there's a lot of small details, like there on the first row of the upper world, there are doors, gates. Then if the nearby schools share the same type of internet connectivity, they will form patterns. And there are going to be different kinds of threads top of them. So Nadi really created an algorithm which created all of these beautiful 1,000 art pieces. And there are some also small accessories, I would say there, like there are clouds, there are birds, and they represent the schools for which we are not totally sure if they are connected or not, because it's a realistic situation. And there are like very few of those very special NFTs, which represent one of them represents the desired end state, and that's like every school is connected. So all schools are in this upper kingdom, and no school is left without connectivity. Obviously, there is like a mirror version of this, like the NFT where no school is connected to the internet. So how did this campaign go? We launched in January 2022, and we raised 240 ETH from the initial sale and from the royalties from this collection. So it was a crazy ride, basically, and I can probably speak for hours about this, because everybody who launched an NFT collection or was a part of the team who launched the NFT collection knows how much time and effort it requires. And we did a lot of things really good, like the art and defining the mission and so on, but there was also so many things that we did really, really wrong. So we learned quite a lot from this experience, and I'd really like to share just some of the few key findings from this, especially if there are people who are thinking about launching the charitable NFT collections or the NFT collections who are aiming at some humanitarian goal or with some higher purpose. So also yesterday during the talks and in general, we all know that crypto is all about communities. Like it's about people who share the same goal, share the same idea, and generally have a common interest. So, I mean, at the back of our heads, we knew that. But building communities is really, really hard. And you don't really know that until the people start pouring into your Discord server and when they start having ideas and asking for things and so on. So we're totally not prepared for that kind of engagement and that kind of time which was required to organize, to lead, to motivate the community. So my advice would be think about community manager, like before you launch, prepare for that. Because being a part of the UN system, it's not, you cannot just find somebody and say, you're now a community manager and handle this community. You need to open a call, you need to write a TOR, you need to do a selection process. So it's like months of time. And UN time is not equal to NFT world time, so we do not work in the same cycles. So that was a big issue. The other thing, we had like 8,000 of people in our whitelist. We had a proper whitelist with all the Twitter verification, joining Discord server, and so on. So we were like just like 8,000 people, and we have 1,000 pieces. So we were like on top of the world. Like we did it. That's it. But I mean, obviously, that's a sort of a vanity metrics. So when the minting started, and because we had like 8 times more people who wanted to mint than we had NFTs, we spent a lot of time designing a totally fair process, how to make everybody have the same chance to mint. So we created like, we gave random numbers to each wallet which was in the whitelist. We did a raffle. We created cohorts, like the first cohort with 1,000 people, they mint, then what's left over, the next cohort mints, and so on. But obviously, like that's something that we planned. In reality, the minting didn't really go that fast. People were not minting. You know, the first cohort minted maybe like 40% of NFTs. Then we launched the second, like we had 8 or more of them. But like we just couldn't sell everything, and we couldn't do a reveal because not all NFTs were minted. So we had to speed up the process. We opened the minting to everybody in the whitelist that still didn't sell out everything, and eventually we opened it to the public. So after we did that, in like 30 minutes, everything was sold out, but it was was like much later than we have planned. So like try to focus actually on a community and not be like there's a bunch of people in the whitelist, everything is going to be okay. Then flippers. I mean, there's nothing wrong with people wanting to earn money on NFT collections. Like that's like a totally legit thing to do. But if you're trying to organize a community around a bigger goal, like with a good cause, then having flippers can be really toxic. And discouraging people from joining your community or from buying your NFTs if they're in it only for profits would be something that we should have done much, much earlier. Combined with the fact that we got like a very custom royalty rate of 20% from the OpenSea, because you usually can get only 10%, when people realized that, although it was communicated, people who were aiming just to sell were not really happy. They were really, really unhappy. So we ended up trying to be a typical NFT collection. You know, like we tried to be those typical people who are doing NFT collection, doing a roadmap, trying to please the community. But I mean, that's not realistic. We don't have treasury. We don't have funds. The money which was raised was immediately used to be put in a pool for connecting schools to the internet. So we really couldn't be the typical crypto project. And it was sort of a failure from our side because like we liked the fact that we have an NFT collection. It was a mistake to try to be something that we are not. And transparency of using funds, which is really, really important for any kind of charitable project, was sort of impossible for us. Like the Giga and Unicef and ITU has leveraged hundreds of millions of dollars from the corporate partners for connecting schools to the internet. So you have us like a NFT team who came and said like we have fundraised a bit south of $1 million. So we want you now to give us what this money was used for. And you're like, I mean, guys, we cannot give you the exact things. You know, like we converted to fiat in I think February. Thanks God. And we used that money immediately to put it in that common pool of funds which was allocated for connecting schools to the internet. So we cannot really like fulfill this sort of a wet dream of crypto people to have every transaction on the blockchain to buy, you know, like routers to pay for the internet connectivity with crypto because it's just not possible. Things don't work that way still. So if you're a smaller charity organization, if you are like an individual doing a crypto, you're doing an NFT collection, it would be good if you don't have that kind of constraints to try to organize a very transparent usage of funds. So those are the key things that I wanted to share with you. Obviously, there's so many other things, and if you want to discuss about this, feel free to ping me afterwards. And what's next for this collection? We are working on technical features, which like housekeeping tasks that we need to do, but we want to make this collection really return to the primary focus, fundraising. So it's a beautiful art, which is in the function of fundraising money for connecting schools. And that's it. It will not have any kind of crazy utility. It will be like beautiful. It will enable people to see how much every NFT has contributed to or fundraised to the goal of connecting schools, but we are not going to be something that we really cannot achieve. And obviously, we are thinking about one of the next collections after we wrap up everything that we need to do with this initial one. And we are thinking about connecting schools in the field more directly with the donors, with the people who have money and who would like to really like contribute to a specific school for connectivity or for doing some small task which would improve both visibility and discoverability or whatever about each school. And this is one of the early prototypes of the page that we call unpacking of each patchwork kingdom, where you can access metadata and look at it in a sort of visually beautiful way. Location of every school, countries from which these schools, in which these schools are, and something that I'm not sure if you can see, the amount of money raised by this specific NFT. So every time that somebody sells the NFT or somebody buys the NFT, Giga and Unicef are earning money from the royalties to connect schools to the internet. So if you are interested in the topic of connecting schools to the internet, feel free to buy one of these. Their floor price is quite low now. And yeah, the goal of connecting schools to internet is going to take a lot of years. So, but it's a very clear goal, a very noble goal in a way. If you want to be part of that journey, feel free to join the community. Now, the other thing, you probably saw that UNICEF Serbia has a presence in the conference, and we are really thankful to Tomorrow Conference for enabling us to do so. We are doing a crypto fundraiser for the children of Ukraine. I don't really have to explain you details about what's happening in Ukraine, and especially what's happening to children, because no child should really go to the things that children in Ukraine are going through. And UNICEF, in the start of hostilities, is really like trying everything we can by sending the physical humanitarian aid, by working in the field with children and their parents and families to help relieve and mitigate the situation, which is like very hard. So we have partnered with our famous designers, brothers Zamurovic. They designed beautiful NFT pieces which represent love, faith, and hope. And for everyone who donates $10 or more in crypto, will receive one of these NFTs. If you donate 3 times, you collect the whole collection, and we airdrop you the 4th one. This one is called Life. And companies, we have a pool of companies, our partners, who have really contributed to making the interface for this, making smart contracts, and so on, and we are really like internally thankful to them for that. But we also have a pool of companies who are matching everything that we fundraise for the individual donors. So it means that every dollar or every ETH that we fundraise, they are going to multiply by 3. So every dollar is worth $3. So I would like to invite you to just scan the QR code, and if you have some crypto unstaked, to donate something for the children of Ukraine and get these beautiful NFTs as a token of our gratitude. So that's all that I wanted to share with you. If you have any questions or would like to discuss the topics of involving children in the blockchain world or doing something in a domain of education, feel free to approach the UNICEF team. We are going to be here for the whole conference. And thank you.